And green space doesn't just have to be for people to go in, it's also for the climate change link. A 10% increase in green space in Manchester will maintain temperatures of the heat island despite climate change. And if they have 10% less, it will go up to almost 7 degrees higher. So green space will save significant lives as temperatures start to go up. In Manchester also, we've got this Points for Life, which the Department of Health has sponsored to try and reward people to exercise and to eat better. We're doing it with the supermarkets as well. And this bit is the rewarding people for exercise, which they'll be going out to parks. And you'll see a little thing on there about intelligent health, which is where I'm working with. We're trying to actually help monitor and give that reward system to people in the parks of Manchester. So when this gets going, which will be January next year, we're hoping that will change and get those very difficult to reach people out into the parks for the first time and keep them there. The Green Gym, I kind of set that up in 1997 because we were not getting the right number of people out into the gyms or swimming pools. And if people had choice, they had the one on the left or the one on the right. That became in, that became out. We need both, but for the people I was dealing with, overweight diabetics, the left side was significantly better. But also, we found that actually when they're exercising, they kept going and going and going. You compare the heart rate for aerobics versus the Green Gym. The aerobics is in the green, and there's that, I don't know what you do in that first 15, 20 minutes, but it doesn't seem to be a huge amount going on. And then you do the aerobics, and then after 30 minutes, it's all going back again, the cool down. But those Green Gym people, they were still hanging away, hammering away and bashing away and doing clearing and everything else. And they kept going for 2 hours in the cardiovascular zone, or training zone, whereas the aerobics people had stopped. And we know from evidence that actually people who exercise outdoors don't have the perception of exhaustion that you do when you're indoors. I did a study with Oxford there, and we tracked people on a track outside with a heart rate monitor, and we tracked them on a treadmill. And they got tired, even though they were doing exactly the same exercise, they got tired by working on the treadmill much quicker than outdoors. So outdoor activity helps. And then this is a Green Gym that's come to Melbourne. Some of you may have seen the session yesterday, and the conservation volunteers have picked it up. And then this is really just one of the members here, and he said, "What was your life like in the beginning before the change?" He said, "Well, to begin with, I lost my job a few months ago, although I had planned to do volunteer work, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to work out. But this has changed me in a positive way. To summarise in other words, I'd say volunteering with CVA has given me something to look forward to every week." And from the evaluation we've done, 60% of volunteers were new to volunteering. Volunteering is a huge health benefit, and both to society and to the individual. And when it was referred by a GP, 72% were new to volunteering. Mostly men. Health walks, we get women. And it was pretty good on the socio-economic side as well. But the most important thing, those who were the least active, the least healthy, the least mental health, benefited the most. The Blue Gym, we've only just set up, and that's going to be water-based. And it's working mainly with the Department of Health, Environment Agency, Natural England. We're very, very early. But one of the areas which I think could be taken on quite quickly is share the smile. As an employer, you say to your staff, you take someone out who's never done that activity before, one of your colleagues. Okay, it may be in work time or it may be outside work time, but it doesn't matter. As an employer, I'm going to encourage you to do it. And when you've done it, our company will donate money for a child, like Julie, to do something different. It's a very simple, it's a win-win-win in every single direction. So that's where we're hoping with the Blue Gym, to get the employer-employee relationship. Health Walks is our biggest scheme, and that's going to get 200,000 people active for the Olympics. It's a big ask, but this is where the Department of Health and Natural England are working together. Natural England get people out into the natural environment, Department of Health get those people exercising. And we've got this funding that's coming through, and we're working on it now hard. And if you look at the motivation of what actually keeps them going, it's fitness, but being in the countryside. Countryside could be a bit of green space in the middle of Islington or some really difficult place, or Bradford or Manchester. That's what people call the countryside, because they've never been. Julie's dad would have never been. In fact, for Julie's dad, we wouldn't just say come for a health walk. We've got a thing called the Fat Blokes Walk. And the Fat Blokes Walk starts in the pub. They have 3 pints. They go for a walk, they come back and have the other 3 pints. And people are horrified by this. But I don't care, because we've got them out. And health is really important for social and environment. Okay, the pints can come down. Go down to 2 pints next time, 1 pint to the third, and then it's going to be sparkling water for the fourth. But it's that different. We've got to think of ways of getting those people out there which they're going to have fun and enjoy, because otherwise they're not going to do it. One looks really boring, this bit, but I'm going to finish in a couple of slides. But this is one thing we can perhaps work together very quickly. The Outdoor Health Questionnaire, we've taken 2 years to devise it, which records every single person that comes on a health walk and follows them through. So we know from about 50,000 people who are already on this register, and it's ongoing and it's live. Now we're using it for cycling, other people are using it, Scotland and Wales are using it. In fact, Fiona Bull from Perth, who's probably the best person of physical activity in the world, University of Western Australia, has been helping us devise this. What we'd love to do is for you to be able to use that, anybody to be able to use that. We have a common database that we can all compare, and it's all been validated, and the health professionals say, yep, that's fine. And you can get that at whi.org.uk, but we'll kind of make sure you know about that later. And we know the NICE have now approved health walks as an official way of keeping mental health for the elderly, because of the social and because of the environment. And NICE are our policemen to decide what we can prescribe and what we can't, and only recommend something if the evidence is good enough. Okay, we said there's a bit of madness going on, because here is physical activity as a drug, and yet we were prescribing these things and we were not getting it right. Now look at the costs. NICE established that brief interventions for physical activity would cost £20 to £440 per quality adjusted life year, the additional year. That's a unit we use in health to try and get an extra year of life. The cost of a quality of statins, which are drugs, is £10,000 to £17,000 per patient. What are we doing? We're prescribing statins. £20 to £440 or £10,000 to £17,000. If you're in business, you just look at that and think, that does not make sense. Smoking cessation is about £220 to £9,000, and smoking and physical inactivity are exactly the same. So for our health walks, for every pound spent, we get £7 back, because it's so cheap, because it's volunteers. We've trained up 50,000 volunteers to do it. And those volunteers, and you people in the parks, you say, well, I'm not a health professional, but you're saving lives. You're probably saving more lives, or as many lives as I'd be saving as a doctor. If I get 60, or if you get 60 men over the age of 60 active, if you get Julie's dad when he gets to 60 active, when he's not been active before, the group who can remain on the couch, yes, some people will die every year because they're getting older, and people who are exercising, some people will die because they're getting older. But there'll always be one less dying in the exercise group than in the other group. That's one life being saved every single year, but you're getting those people. No health qualification, but you're doing as much as any other health professional. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a choice. Do we continue spending that 10 billion on roads, or do we get 1,000 new parks? Do we let Julie just stay at home with her dad, and all the opportunities slip by as another generation go? Or do we try and do something for that generation? Do we start to work to create a better society of green, of infrastructure and parks? Well, this next generation is coming towards us, and they're going to want questions and answers, and we've got another generation, which our generation, who need to have those questions. So I think it's been inspirational and the right time to have this conference, and hopefully those questions will become much clearer by the end. Thank you very much.